Hello and welcome to the Matchbook Betting Exchange English Greyhound Derby podcast. I'm joined, as always, by the master, Paul Lawrence. I'm Ian Fortune, your host for the next half an hour, 35 minutes or so. We've a lot to get into, but before we do, just remember that Matchbook offers daily markets in all greyhound racing. It's well worth your while getting involved. Of course, the market's often offering so much more value than the fixed odds layers. And of course, we'll be speaking today about the English Greyhound Derby, and the anti-post market is also available on that. PL, how are you, sir? It must be a joy to be commentating on this derby. It has gone off without a hitch, touch wood, everything going well, and we are now down to the 48. It starts to get interesting.
Yeah, well, it was interesting right at the start, but you're right. Now it kind of get down to the nitty gritty, don't you? It has been really good. I thought it was a vintage derby. I must admit, I think there's so much class in depth. It's incredible, and yes, it's great that all the problems that were leading up to the derby have been put behind. So fair play and the tip of the hat to Kevin and his brother Dave, you know, and the team there at Toaster. Yeah, it has been a joy. It's great to watch. I mean, some of the performances, you know, track equaling effort from King Memphis, and then Crafty Shavu was just one spot. It's we've lost a couple, but not, you know, not to really to the detriment of it's still a very, very competitive and wide open derby.
Yeah, depth is the word I'd be using to describe it all right. Like, you go down to the top sort of 15, 20, plenty of dogs there capable of winning the derby. Absolutely every single one of them, you'd have to suggest. As we speak, it's sort of joint favourites. King Memphis is maybe favoured with a few of the fixed odd firms, but I think when it comes down to the exchanges, they're pretty much sort of level between Deladida and King Memphis. Then you have the likes of Boyle Sports Bob. Superfast Gordon took off in the second round, no question about that. He's in there next. The other Kobe, Swords, Rex, Clonbrine, Treaty, Antigua Hawk, Crafty Shavu, Gate Time Nemo, King Combs, Ballybola Edge, JT Eddie and then, you know, even then next we have Ballymac Finn. You know, here's a dog who was a derby runner up in the past. It just goes to show the quality. It's pretty crowded at the top of the market. Yes, we do have two that are disputing favoritism, but it's sort of 8-1 the field, PL, and I think that sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. As we mentioned, it was 16-1 the field, I think, at the start, but there's still a very competitive feel to this derby, and anything could happen, and I think that's what makes it exciting as well. And some of the makeups are a bit tricky. Might touch on that, the seeding, etc., a bit as we go through the individual heats, but anti-post wise, I was thinking maybe Crafty Shavu after she put in that sort of improved effort last time out. I had a little bit of a theory about her as well. Again, we'll probably touch on that when we go through each of the heats, but she looks like one maybe to offer a little bit of value still in the anti-post market.
She's around 16-1. You know, like, it was a breathtaking display again. She remains unbeaten at Toaster, which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah,
I think it's 8 from 8 at this stage, PL, is it?
Yeah, it is. And you're right, it is remarkable.
Yeah, and she was like I don't want to drive don't want to drive it home when I was talking to Peter Dively. She was obviously named Irish Bitch of the Year last year, given the fact that she started her racing career there, and she won our Sporting Press Irish Oaks. She was sold in the early rounds of that competition, but, you know, in hindsight, had she not been sold that week, I'd say her price would have doubled, nearly trebled in the following 2 weeks. So the owners of her got her for a virtual song, and here we are. We're talking about her as a potential Derby champion. She's a superstar, no question about that. She is one of very few, though, English in the top 20 in the betting. You have King Memphis, you have King Combs and Crafty Shavu, and thereafter you're sort of struggling, PL.
Yeah, I mean, touching on that as well, when you think she was beaten a couple of times by Queen Joni, and then Queen Joni went out in the first round, and you kind of think, well, to win a derby, you need that consistency, and you need to be peaking at the right time. And I just wonder whether Crafty Shavu is doing in just that. So yeah, it's interesting as well, isn't it, to have one of the ladies that's up there at the top of the market.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple of defeats by Queen Joni. Like, the bitches are like that. They're in waves. You know, they hit peaks, they hit troughs.
Yeah.
I don't think she was at a peak when she was being beaten by Queen Joni. Like, if you go back to her form in Hove about a month earlier, she just looked sensational. And then she got those 2 defeats by Queen Joni. I don't think it was a true sort of indication of her form at that time. I think she's back to something like her very, very best. And I think it's safe to say after a 28.59 return last week, easily the fastest run of the round. Just one or two we want to pull out from last week. Let's go on to the Friday. Obviously, Ireland had five of the 8 heat winners. They included Superfast Gordon, the Kobe, Soares Rex, Gate Time Nemo, and the Laddie Da. Those five names alone, there's some real strength there, but some big runs also on the card. King Memphis obviously won again in 28.78, and UN Sid was good, albeit in 29.01. The Friday night sort of set the tone for this derby. I thought the one to take out of it was probably Superfast Gordon, just given the fact that he didn't have everything his own way at the head of affairs. He had to battle away to get the better of Clonbrine Treaty into the third bend. He then pulled away to him by 4.5 lengths. This was probably the Superfast Gordon we saw at the turn of the year. Probably hasn't produced it all that often this year, but maybe he's now running himself into a bit of form, and I know Pat thinks an awful lot of him.
Yeah, and that was a dog that Lorraine pulled out in Tralee, and I went back and looked at his form against Delardi Da, and I thought he would be a big runner, and that's why I backed him anti-post for the Derby. And then he had that little bit of a fall, didn't he? And he then looked like he was a bit of a short runner against Undulation. He's come over, and I think if you look at his weight as well, he's just took a bit off of him, Pat, and I think that's helped him that little bit better. He looked like he stayed much better than when he got picked up by King Coombs in the opening round, and that was going to be my little bit of a worry. But the battling fact, one of the things to think from maybe the Friday night, Ian, was a lot of people were saying that it probably wasn't that great on the wide, which may have helped him to a certain extent. Clonbrine Treaty is probably a little bit of a worry for me at the moment because he doesn't seem to be finishing off his races that well. And I said I've been doing some clockings with my pal Tom, and that's the little bit of the worry. There are some. There's some sort of damning evidence. Obviously, you can see with your eye the likes of King Coombs is finishing strong, and Delardi Da's coming home well. Burj Khalifa, that sort of ilk of a greyhound. But with some of these early birds, I mean, even with the other Kobe's not coming back. But you can forgive him that because he's been off for so long since September.
We also saw that in last year's Irish Derby, shall we say?
Exactly.
You look at his run to semi-final. He walks home. Walked home to semi-final after a sensational run to quarters. He did a 29.16 or something like that. Just an unbelievable run. Then the following week does everything almost similarly and comes home in probably 30, 40 spots slower. And then the final becomes the fastest ever Derby champion. These dogs, you just don't know where you stand at times with them. The only thing I'll say about Clonbrine Treaty is that I think Graham has shown in the past that he's able to get him to peak on the night that counts. He's won 3 classics. So I wouldn't be overly concerned by it. But I agree with you. Probably on the night, 1 or 2 of the wild seeds didn't really produce their very best. And yet there were 1 or 2 ran okay. I wouldn't say it was blatantly obvious, but as you said, at this level, small margins matter.
Yeah. And you could be right in that, the Graham Horan factor about sort of training him to win the final rather than to be blasting in the opening rounds. That that is a factor. It was just that little bit of a worry in that he didn't improve his run home time from the first round to the second round, whereas the other Kobe did. But yeah, again, it could have been the fact that it wasn't that great in the wide. So it's kind of, and he's in a fairly hot heat as well, isn't he? So it's so interesting, really, really interesting.
We have to mention, and we really haven't mentioned him all that much, Gate Time Nemo, defending champion. He sort of has been, and he did a bit of a disappearing act after last year's Derby. He appeared for a race or 2 here and there, and obviously tried to challenge for the Irish Derby, went out in the first round, and we've seen so little of him. And all of a sudden, he returns to Toaster. Okay, his first line or 2 around there weren't great, but the other night does everything right. 28.76 off the front. This was the Gate Time Nemo we saw 12 months ago.
Yeah, definitely that. He was very impressive the other night. He's got good all-round quality, good all-round pace. In the opening round, he got knocked about a bit, and I think I said to you last week, he kind of looked a little bit unbalanced, and yet he looked a different dog this week. And that, again, that's the mark of that. He's coming right. He's coming right, and he's good enough to win a Derby. So yeah, he's another one that's got every chance of being there come the final.
And the other Colby was returned 10-11. You know, certainly 11-10 on the exchanges. My first trumpet, I just thought that was picking up money. I thought he was absolutely guaranteed to go around in front. He wins a length in 3 parts, absolutely walking from the third bend home or fourth bend home, 28.99. I think he's doing everything right. 3.97. We said he'd be doing sub 4 seconds for fun. That's exactly what I think we'll continue to see. And if he does get the draw and he gets that clear passage to the head of affairs, he could easily be in another Derby final.
Indeed, and the fact that he's going to be in front at the third bend in most races is going to help him, because you've noticed a lot of dogs have come to challenge and they've kind of just caught heels and they haven't been able to get past. So it is a big advantage to be in front at any track, let alone Toaster. So yeah, he's a big player, and I just think he's progressing. He's definitely coming home gradually better each time. So
yeah, Swords Rex again, an absolute thorough professional. Not much more we need to say about him. It's just continuation from what he did last year. And Deladida, 28.91. Did you ever think you'd see a dog coming from that far behind Churchfield Sid?
No, again, he's just he looks a monster, doesn't he? He's just, yeah. I'm really pleased because I know that you're a big fan of him, and he kind of wasn't firing how you wanted him to fire, you know, leading up to the Derby, and yet he just seems to have come alive, doesn't he? And again, you need a dog like Deladida because he's never beaten. That's the thing. He's not. Yeah. He could, as you say, there's one night he can flash, and that'll probably be in the final, by the way. But
touch wood.
he's a dog that's always going to be that massive engine and keep qualifying. So he's another exciting greyhound.
Yeah, I'm just pleased the way he handled Trap 4. In his early days, he would have been looking for in very soon and probably would have found more traffic and whatnot. But the fact that he stepped around Doug, stayed wide off the second bend, got run at the leader, like he still to pick him up was pretty emphatic. Like I at halfway, I was licking my wounds. I didn't fancy Churchfield Sid, it has to be said, because I thought King Capaldi would lead him. That was one of the big names that went down. King Capaldi, when he didn't set the pace, he was always going to be in trouble. But the laddie to come from where he did was pretty remarkable. The Friday night sort of featured the bigger names, shall we say, or the more established names. There were some fine displays on the Saturday. Antigua Hawk continues to impress. Surprised how much he edged inwards from Trap 5 PL, but he's a young dog doing everything right, and he's going to learn with each run.
Yeah, he dived straight in, didn't he? And I suppose the fact that if there was something on his inside, he might not do it as violently when he doesn't see clear daylight on his inside, but it is a little bit of a worry. And again, you know, we touched on seeding and stuff like that. If there were more probably dogs that were middle to wide, seeded wide, he'd probably end up in the 4 box where he probably would want to be. You know, he's never going to get 3 because there's so many railers. But yeah, his early pace is a potent weapon again. But it's can he get across some of the inside dogs that have got early pace, and he's got to probably do that in his third round heat as well. Yeah, so
we'll definitely get to that because I have my thoughts on that contest, let me say. Yeah. Balnabola Ed, we have to give him a mention. He obviously set up a fantastic double on the night for Pat Buckley. This was a trumpet for you in around the 92, 5-1 mark during the week. Returned 7-2. Even the 7-2 still looks very big. High Trend took care of Barntic Bear as we sort of predicted. Barntic Bear was given no chance. High Trend sort of missed the kick. And in essence, if he had hit the lids, Barntic Bear may have got away with it. But High Trend missed the kick and then straight in. The pair of them clashed, and it was never happening for them. In contrast, Balnabola Ed, 3.99, doing everything right. This looked pretty close to the Balnabola Ed we remember.
Yeah, indeed. And the thing is, draws sometimes do win races. We knew he had the ability. And again, some of Pat's dogs didn't run great in the first round. Some of them did. He was one that you always thought, and I said to you, I thought he took a good length out of High Trend in the early pace department when he kind of half missed the kick in the opening round. And then he did get a good break, do you know what I mean? But he just took off into the turn. And the fact that they're all cuddling on the inside, it helped him. But he's a very, very fast greyhound once he sees clear daylight and when he gets that clear run. And he just had a draw to die for. And when you come out of the boxes like that, it always helps, doesn't it? At 5-1, I just thought he was massively overpriced.
Yeah, when you look through the heat winners on Saturday night, it shows that Friday night was probably the stacked night. Others that we have to mention, Ballymacfin, it was great to see him winning. Again, you selected him last week, PL. It was a weekend for the trumpet.
Yeah, it was a good weekend. It was a good weekend. To be fair, the first round I had winning night, losing night, winning night, and then it was 2 winning nights at the weekend. But yeah, and again, Bunny McPhee, a good old solid dog that has got that Derby quality, and he's still doing it at his age. So it's really good to see. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I think it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Azurite winning. Crafty Chavou was obviously the standout star. We've already spoken of her. Edwards won well, and YI Man and Never Say No. So that was the second round action. We now get into the third round PL. Before we go into the third round action itself, I'm sure you've looked through them in terms of the trap draws and who's sort of kindly drawn and whatnot. You've mentioned there Crafty Chavou at 16-1. Anything else that if you weren't as heavily invested, that you might be sort of tempted to have a little nibble on? Is Churchfield said just a touch big at 33-1, just given the fact that he can still go to the corner, or are there others that will probably lead him in time, and that probably end his claims?
Yeah, that's a worry, because he is a dog that really needs to lead to win, and we saw in the first round he fluffed his lines. He did well to qualify, don't get me wrong, but as you go deeper into the competition, Ian, you're going against stronger dogs, but better class greyhounds, and if he makes a mistake, then he's going to be in trouble. So a bit like King Capaldi, you said, when you've got those two dogs that probably both needed to lead to win, when one of them doesn't lead, then the stayers come into and get past you. So
that's when the old place lay comes into effect.
Exactly.
And what I'd often do in that situation is lay both of them to be placed, and you never know what might happen. Even if the two of them do go up fast and they clash, all of a sudden they could both be out of the frame. The place lay is great for that. So let's get into the heat. So PL, the opening heat, we have a round and even money favorite, the other Colby Racing from Trap 2. It is his draw. I can see no reason why he won't lead up on the inside. Certainly he'll lead up YI Man and Sing Along Dolly. Hawkfield Blue is drawn perhaps a little far out in 4. Righty won't be leading him. Clonbrine Treaty is the one dog that can rush up on the outside, but if the other Colby takes a start, he's going to lead around that corner. You'd suspect that it'll be Clonbrine Treaty chasing him. I don't know whether it'll finish in that order, but I would suggest that will be a very hot forecast in terms of the pricing. But I think the other Colby, just given the way he is going to the corner, the fact that he has improved from his first round to his second round, is encouraging. He can only strengthen. He's, for me, the selection.
Yeah, I agree with you. I wouldn't want to back him that short, I must admit, but given that vulnerability, and I actually thought that Hawkfield Blue ran really well against him last time. Ian got a couple of little touches, and he didn't come out as well as he did in the first round either. He kind of surprised me in the first round, because I was on Droopy's Pivotal, and Hawkfield Blue came out rushing, and Pivotal missed it. But Hawkfield Blue could break better there, and he's got a clear sing-along dolly, which I think he's going to do. Righty is probably stuck out a little bit too wide. I think Hawkfield Blue will edge into sort of 3.5, 3. I think he'll be okay down there. I think he's got a good lane to work from, so long as he breaks. He doesn't want to miss it and then have Righty coming across him. Again, you're right, Clonbrine Treaty's got a good draw. It's that the run home thing that's worrying me a little bit. Hawkfield Blue could easily take one and get inside him, probably out the second bend, something like that, or into the third turn maybe. And then you've got YI Man and Sing Along Dolly. They'll be looking to be thundering home. So it's a good makeup.
It is worth pointing out, Sing Along Dolly did run much better in her second round than she did in her opening round. She was really rattling home. I suspect. I know she trialed from Trap 3, but that was her first look at the track. I suspect she'll trap a lot better from 3 than she has done from 1 the last 2 nights. That could be an issue for Hawkfield Blue. Whether she has the pure early speed, I doubt, but she won't be just giving up her yardage that easily. It could get interesting in terms of the place selections. I just think Clonbrine Treaty will rush up on the outside. I cannot see how he's not first or second around the opening corner. I think the other Colby's most likely pace setter, but I think Clonbrine Treaty will be banged there on his shoulder into the bend, because he has sprinting type pace, even though he's not a lightning starter. But if you look at his 403, 408, even his 401 in a trial, like, they're not off good starts. It just goes to show the early speed he does have in those first sort of 50, 100 yards.
Yeah, definitely. And he's got a great draw as well. That's the thing, Clonbrine Treaty. As I said, he is quality. You're right. He'll go up close to the other Kobe. You just fancy that the other Kobe will take the tighter line and he'll be in front early doors.
Yeah.
So it's
Of course,
it's an interesting makeup of a race, to be fair.
it's not one jumping off the page in terms of a betting selection. There's no question about it. But if the other Kobe, you never know what way the markets might go. If he's 5-4 fixed odds, he could be 6-4 in the exchange. I think
Exactly.
that would be perfectly fair.
That would be me. Yeah.
Yeah. The second heat sees Boyle Sports Bob at 4-5. I'm a huge fan. Obviously, he's a massive, massive engine. I just worry that in this type of contest, he's just a touch vulnerable. But just given the fact that it's not all about early speed out in front of him, there's a lot of strong runners in this contest, and he'll just want to be just a touch sharper. He does show a tendency to edge in a little bit when he gets a little bit of room. I'd like him to stay wide. If he trapped on terms, I think he probably emerges the one to beat. But at 4-5, I'll be happy just to watch on. I have him backed for anti-post, and that would do me. Ballymacfin was so good in the previous round. At 9-4, in around that sort of, you could see why people would be taking a bit of that. He does look the most likely pacer along the inside there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I had them just a touch closer. I was a little bit bigger Ball Sports Bob. I actually
5-4, 7-4, sort of that.
No. I made him sort of 11-10, and I made Finn 15-8. Now, again, another one that I thought could have been seeded wide was Aero Convey, and I always thought this at Romford. When I saw him at Romford, I used to think when he was in 4, he was moving off run up. Why don't they put a wide on him, and he's got middle? But again, this is some of the things that all his comments are middle, and yet they got wide running. But I just think I've got him moving off run up twice actually from 5, so and 4 and 5. So he might just give something to think about for Ball Sports Bob. Droopy's Pivotal's got a bit of early speed. As I said, missed it a couple of times. Again, that finished strong. He wasn't finished strong. He was just running against a kind of short runner out in front, and why Man went past him. But I think he's a front runner, Droopy Pivotal. But I do like him. I think he's got nice early speed. But essentially, if Ballymacfin does what he did last time, he's going to lead, and then can Ball Sports Bob get closer enough to him to pick him up? So that was why I was kind of half tempted again to go with Finn on the draw around about the 3.25 mark, and he could be bigger on the Matchbook Exchange. So
yeah,
that was probably but it was very, very tentative, and I do think that Ball Sports Bob will qualify. So.
Yeah, so do I. I thought he ran a remarkable race in defeat, actually, last time out. I thought he'd got up now, I must say, but that's just me favouring the outside fast finisher. That's always tends to be the case. But no, just the shortest of short heads. He did run into a couple of traffic spots, and they cost him, no question about it. But the engine is there. And Paul Hennessy's a remarkable record at this type of stage of a derby. It's so rare to get knocked out, and he has this dog purring at the moment. So I still probably think he'll emerge as the one to beat. But yeah, just be keen on him to trap on terms. I don't want to see him trying to come from 4th or 5th in this type of company. I'll play prices in this race though. At Fate Point Sean is around 6-1. I still think there's a bit of a run in him. And this is the type of race where if he just broke that a little bit better, he could turn a lot closer than he has done. And he's 6-1. If there was nibbles of about 8 on the exchange, I'll just have a small little saver. But other than that, or not saver, even just a small little interest, because I don't think I'll be getting too involved in Boyle Sports Bob at 4-5 or anything like it. But I still think he's probably the one to beat. Heat 3 is a bit of a head scratcher. Churchfield Sid, if he starts like he did the other evening, he looks 101 to set a strong gallop here, PL. A lot will depend on what turns close to him. You'd be keeping an eye, if you were on Churchfield Sid, on maybe the likes of Cost Tokyo, Havana, Top Note. Bocco's Thunder perhaps is one that's most equipped to perhaps turn closest to him if he did break. I think he probably is a trap 3 runner, trap 3, trap 4 runner. I think that's probably his ideal draw. Just that prices maybe have a small nibble on Bocco's Thunder, but I think Churchfield Sid is justifiably pretty short at even money.
Yeah, probably. I think it's 11-10, but the thing is that I made him 5-4, Ian. He's the most likely leader. He can't fluff his lines again, but there doesn't look masses and masses of early speed in this race. I happen to think that both Blue Jig Baron and Bocco's Thunder should be seeded middle. I think Bocco's Thunder is better in 3. I'd actually even prefer him in 4. but I think he'll stay fairly straight. Cost Tokyo will probably go edging a little bit, but only tiny. Ran out of 4 in the first round. Literally went to lane 3.5. So I thought that Bocco's Thunder ran really well last time out and came home reasonably strongly behind a class greyhound called Gaytime Nemo. So I think that form is very, very strong indeed. Now, Churchfield Sid's no disgrace to get picked up by Deladi Dar. But I think that if you're looking at value, I had Bocco's Thunder shorter than about 5 to 1. And if he is six on the Matchbook Exchange, then I would be playing. There could be a little bit of a schmozzle. Havana Top Note's not got a great draw with Blue Jig Baron moving off. Cost Tokyo could run on again and qualify once more. So it's interesting. Droopy Supply ran well in the first round heat and ran okay in the second round. So yeah, it's an interesting race again.
Yeah, very interesting race. Not all our predictions worked in the opening round, but in terms of price predictions, I think we were pretty spot on. We said dogs are too big and they'd be much shorter in the evening, and we predicted that 1 or 2 favorites would switch flops, and I think that was exactly what happened. I'd be amazed if Bocco's Thunder is not clear second favorite. He's currently 5 to 1. I think 3 to 1 could be his price on the night. I think he'll be made a clear second favorite. And just if you're watching this on the Wednesday afternoon, maybe just have a nibble on Bocco's. And again, you could do a bit of business later in the week because he won't be that price. I have no doubt about it. On to Heat 4, Superfast Gordon's 4 to 6, JT Etienne is 5 to 2. It's 8 to 1 bar PL. I have to tell you, in terms of pace, I don't think there's much between them. I think JT Etienne is as fast as any greyhound in the Derby, but he is not doing a yard at boxes. He just won't come out of them. This is a dog who I've been reliably informed by both KH and PH that JT Etienne can absolutely belt from boxes. And you know what I'm going to end up doing? I'm going to end up betting him blind every week, hoping that he gets that start, because when he does do a start, he's going to do 28.60 for fun.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. The only thing is, I think Etienne will just 2 is probably his box. He'll stay straight from 2. Superfast Gordon ran from track 1 in the first round. I think he'll move into 2 himself, but he just seems to be starting that bit better than Etienne. Obviously, he beat Etienne in the race last week in the second round. I think Superfast Gordon will take the world of beating. Obviously, he's priced accordingly, but I made him 4 to 7, so he's kind of 4 to 6. You might get a little bit of 1.8 on Betfair if the Etienne punters come in, and hope that he does find his trapping boots. But he hasn't done it yet, has he? I've never really seen him trap, other than did he trap a little bit better from 6 in the Maiden Derby final. But whether he will do it from this draw, but these 2 dogs stand out. They just stand out. And if you think, well, you're betting, you could get, was he? I think he was 3 to 1 with one of the firms. Etienne.
I took the prices that were sort of in around sort of the most offered. Basically, there might be a touch bigger about him. There's certainly probably 8 to 11 about Superfast Gordon, not 4 to 6. But yeah, I'd say you probably could get 11 to 4 to 3 to 1 JT Etienne. The one thing that's certainly in his favor is Savannah Jackpot, a change of seating. Like, he stepped right from 6 last time. Yeah, what's he going to do from 3 now? I don't expect him to be challenging them anyway. So there should be loads of room for JT Etienne, even if he does break behind Superfast Gordon, to slip round in behind him. And then all of a sudden you have a race on. Superfast Gordon, like, he flew last week. There's no guarantee now that if JT Etienne turned on his back, on his heels out into the back straight, that they wouldn't be side by side at the third bend, and then it's anybody's race.
Yeah, well, I get what you're saying, and I'm a big fan of Etienne. I thought his first round performance was awesome. But you've seen him dog for dog, Ian, and I just don't really get how he reverses the form, especially as they're drawn now. Yeah. But I'd love to see a buckle between the pair of them. Well, I wouldn't actually, because I've got a bit of evens about Superfast Gordon, so that was a bit silly. But Savannah Jackpot, agree with you. I had him as a perspective to be wide, because I thought he was all right from 5 in the opening round, and he was in 6 in the second round. I thought
when it comes to seeding changes, it's not one you'd get too worried about, because he's not going to bother many dogs. No, he's going to be behind the most.
Even so, yeah. I don't really get the thinking behind it, but Never Say No might be able to get into the race with a break, because obviously BT Sparkle's more of a staying type. Savannah Jackpot's a staying type. Donut's got a great draw on the outside, but he hasn't come out of the boxes as yet. is capable.
Hard to believe this is a dog doing 370s around Romford. He's only doing 420s around Toaster. Like, this is a dog that should be doing 4 seconds or better.
But he has, in the trial stakes, though, Ian, he has beaten, in April, he has beaten Coolio Gold, who's running really well in the Derby, by the way, in a 4:05 sectional. So he can come out. He can come out. And we probably haven't seen the best of him as yet in the actual Derby, you know.
Yeah.
So he'd be an interesting runner at a big price.
You're just happy with your even Superfast, Gordon. You get that
certainly
quiet.
am.
I was going to say you'd be all over evens if it was made available. You're already all over it. That's why he's at 4 to 6. No, good work, PL. God, early bird catches the worm and all that. Heat 5. I think this is an interesting contest. I'm tipping one here. It won't be a short price either. Antigua Hawk is 6 to 4. Obviously, he's a strong Irish contingent here. 5 of the 6 are representing Irish shores. Groucho's Duke is a dog who improved greatly in terms of his clock from first round to second round. He's only picked up late by a YI man. He's definitely not getting home, but he definitely got home better than he did in the previous round. He can strengthen up again. You'd imagine Groucho's Duke. 8 to 1 for me looks fair enough about a dog that could well be in front. Edwards is running well, but he's flanked by fast dogs. Ballymac Gizmo hasn't got his starting together. He probably a dog that just won't sort of fill into himself for another few months. I reckon he could be a real Irish type Derby type dog. Antigua Hawk is going to edge inwards from 5, but he can go up fast, and he is a ready improver. 28.77, 28.81. He's done absolutely nothing wrong. And Glengar Martha 3.90 in the opening round. She missed a kick by her standards, 20 spots slower the other evening, doing 4.10 behind the other Kobe. Sort of half predicted that had happened. She loves a track first time around, but I'm going to mention McNeil here. Groucho's Duke is going to be out in front, I think. I think Groucho's Duke will be in front. If he starts to sort of come back to them into that third bend around the bottom 2 bends, and Antigua Hawk has squeezed up a couple of dogs in the middle, I just have a feeling McNeil will be arriving with an absolute rush at 12 to 1. And if Groucho's Duke is sort of coming back to them, you know, it could create a, as they say, a concertina type effect. Just at 12 to 1, I thought McNeil represented a small bit of value. I'll definitely be playing him in the place market, no question about it.
That's interesting. I thought you were going to actually go for Groucho's Duke.
I'm very tempted to, because I think he'll be in front. I think if he breaks on terms, I don't think Antigua Hawk can lead him.
That's the thing. I agree with that. That is the key. That is the key to the race. Obviously, that's the key to your bet, isn't it? If you're betting McNeil,
yes, yeah. Because if Antigua Hawk gets loose, it's over.
Yeah, you want Groucho. You want Groucho's Duke to lead. That's for your bet to sort of come up. And I can understand that, because I actually agree with you. And I've actually had a nibble at around 11 Groucho's Duke small, because I'm of the same opinion that he cramped in the first round, and he stayed much better, although still not that great, in the second round. But if he improves again, he's got all sorts of speed to the third bend. And I think he'll match Antigua Hawk. Now, a lot of it's going to be on the break, don't get me wrong. But Antigua Hawk, he's going to go in a diagonal line. I actually think Ballymac Gizmo might come flying out the boxes as well, out of 4.
Probably will break a bit better from the middle. There's a monster running this fella.
Yeah, exactly. I keep backing him, and he keeps reaching dogs at the third bend and climbing all over the back of him. But this dog can run. He's only a young dog, and he can. I'm a big fan of a lot of Liam's dogs, actually. But this young dog, Ballymac Gizmo, he can run. He was beaten a length and a half by Antigua Hawk, and he was climbing all over the back of him around the last 2 bends.
Yeah.
The dog that I think has got a massive chance, and again, my pal Podge, we talk about that. This has got a draw to die for, Glengar Martha, and you're right, Ian. She walked out. It was like chalk and cheese, wasn't it, from first round to second round exits? And again, she was 20 spots, but she was also on that ground where it just didn't look like it was great on the wide. She still qualified. She still kept going, and she's got a massive draw. I think if she came out of the boxes here, she'll put herself in the race, and she could go around behind Groucho's Duke and pick him up. So there's all sorts of theories in this race. It's a really, really interesting race, and a lot of it will be what do Groucho's Duke out of 2 and Antigua Hawk out of 5 do at trap rise. And maybe you could say Gizmo for Antigua Hawk's chances as well. But one thing is sure, as eggs is eggs, Glengar Martha can't get a touch. She cannot get a touch, and she could go sailing around the outside. And again, she was 7-2. I make a closer second favourite to Antigua Hawk. I make him favourite Hawk, but I still think he kind of could be beatable if Groucho's Duke turns up.
It's a contest with angles. You know, you could take a view on 3 or 4 dogs, as you say, in the race. I'm just purely hunting big prices. McNeil for me at the 12. You know, a little nibble. Doesn't take an awful lot to find out, as they say, PL. I do agree with you, Glengar Martha. I just know that first time out in a track, she's lethal, absolutely lethal. If you look at her record, like I see in Cork, she did in the first round of the Laurels, she won. Galway, the first round of the Galway Oaks, she won. Returned to Limerick, then flew. Shelburne Park, she flew the first round again. Like, she's just one of those ladies where she just loves that sort of the new challenge. And yeah, but who's to say if she doesn't hit it, she's going to get an absolute solo on the outside, no question about it. But much will depend on what Groucho's Duke does in those first 5 strides.
We haven't mentioned Edwards. He's another dog. I thought he battled really well when he was getting harried and hassled. He's won his first 2, and he's got that little bit of early dash as well. So it's an interesting race with lots of scenarios.
Edwards is only 6-1. Like that sort of tells you. Tells you his chances. You know what I mean? It's a wide open contest, no question about it. Differing opinions there, but yeah, well, I think we're both for the same reasons, shall we say? With Antigua Hawk edging inwards from 5 and not guaranteed. Obviously it throws it open to the remainder. Onto Heat 6, where Crafty Chavoo is drawn on the fence, and I assume that 5-2 is screaming out to you, PL. Deladi Daz in trap 4, he's a 2-1 chance, but the fact that he's Gaytime Nemo on his immediate inside probably isn't ideal. I'd still like to see Deladi Daz producing one of his better starts and showing what he can do. To add in sort of a bit of complication, you have Miracle likely to go up and fast in 5. King Combs will be flying home in 6. We've yet to see the very best of Scaglietti. He's a 20-1 chance, but if he could return to anything like his best, he'd be a player. Another intriguing contest, but I was somewhat surprised when I saw these prices. I thought Crafty Chavoo would probably be favoured from the draw, and she may well be favoured from the draw. Come the night itself.
I'm saying, yeah. It's amazing that we do these podcasts. We do think a lot the same. At the sort of sound of, I don't want to be boring, but I took the 7-2 Crafty Chavoo. I make a favourite in front of Gaytime Nemo and just in front of Deladi Dar. I make them the 3 runners. But King Coombs is, he's got a big chance. But I just thought they bet wrong, really. I think Crafty Chavoo's got a massive chance to lead. Gaytime Nemo I thought was awesome last time. Deladi Dar has got to get round them. I think he'll qualify. I do think he'll qualify. And I don't mind his drawing 4. So I think Gaytime Nemo just edging slightly, very slightly, and I think Deladi Dar just edging slightly. I think they'll stay fairly straight, and this is what I think getting your optimum performance, if you like, your best performance is going in a straight line, and this is why some trainers need a real wake up call, because some of the seeding is awful. But I mean, I think I'd have Miracle wide as well, but I've got him off start. So King Coombs, he'll just look to fiddle his way around. But again, it's a makeup where I think the inside 4 they'll all stay fairly straight. So I think you're basing your bet on a level break. If they break level, I think Crafty Chavoo will lead, and that should be good enough from what you saw last week.
I won't be opposing Deladi Da, but I won't be backing him at current prices. No. When he's 3-1 the night, I could certainly get involved.
Exactly,
because it'd be no shock to me. I've seen him in the flesh. No shock to me if he does a 4.05 and does 28.15, smash the track record. Like that's what he's capable of, and I'm waiting on the trapping to arrive. Like, this was a dog early in his career not even so much early in his career, but when his early in his Shelburne Park career, where I was expecting to front off most nights. And the strength only seemed to come through when he got knocked out of the Irish Derby. Like, it was during the Juvenile Derby when he started showing the real power down the back straight and home. Obviously, his clocks were sensational prior to that, but he's looked really, really powerful ever since then. And I'm just waiting for the the real boom from the laddie da, but you know, certainly at the prices, crafty Shabu, like even the 5-2 is big, the 7-2 PL, that's huge. I just can't, I can't fathom that, you know.
No.
Especially when, like, we're talking, most of the firms pricing up are UK based firms. I assume she'd be kept on the short side. Yeah, an interesting contest, no question about it. We're definitely going to lose one or two big names out of it. That's the one thing about it. Like, it's just such as the talent in the contest. Heat 7, King Memphis is 11-8. Swords Rex 2-1. I'd reverse them. I definitely have Swords Rex leading King Memphis from the draw. That's my point of view. Balnabola Ed, he'll have his supporters at 5-1. He'll need to be doing everything right again, especially with Road Exile in his immediate inside. Azurite is 25-1. She'll continue to improve for the look around the track. She's a very fast lady, but she's probably not sharp enough. New Win Sid is 7-1. He's held by King Memphis on all known form, but he is capable of going up fast and doing a big run. I think he's certainly better than this 29-01 last time out. But for me, Swords Rex should be favoured because I think he's a more natural start than King Memphis, and I think he'll be in front of him.
It's funny you say that about New Insid. I was the same. I thought he would have gone faster than that. And when you look at his sectional, he did a 4:15. He looked like he flashed out the boxes.
Yeah, it definitely looked a lot faster than 4:15.
It was strange. But you're right. He's met King Memphis and he's got his bum smack. So he's got two real early paces. In the trial stakes prior to the Derby, Memphis was in 3 and Swords Rex was in 2. And I thought Memphis went up. He got crowded run up. He was going up as good as Swords Rex. I struggle to, again, basing your bets on. So this is when I just said we agree all the time. I'm not agreeing with you here because if they break level, Swords Rex ain't leading King Memphis.
Yeah, but they're not breaking level. That's the thing about it.
That's I get that. No, I understand that. So you're getting Swords Rex to get first jump on Memphis, but he's still got to do it kind of by a length and a quarter, Ian. Do you know what I mean? So
the only thing about Swords Rex is that night he does a 4:11. That was his first run in 6 months, 8 months, something like that.
Yeah,
you know, like he does a 3:97 the last time, 28:73. Does everything right.
And he definitely improved from the first round to the second round. You're right, and we kind of preempted that, didn't we? In that he just looked that little bit rusty, and I said to you he can come out better than that, and he did. But he's another one, Ian. I think if he was mine, I'd have a middle on him. I just think he's a better dog because he breaks clean around the middle. He'll definitely edge off from 2. He'll definitely edge off, and 3 will move in, so they could easily clash. Now, don't get me wrong. King Memphis is going to move off as well. He'll almost go 2 1/4, but Swords Rex will be helping him do that because he'll be moving off. So I don't think King Memphis will get a touch. I don't think he'll get a touch, whereas 2 and 3 could easily clash. I thought Azurite ran with real guts and determination last week. Road Exile's got a bit of early moving in, and yeah, the Ed Dog's he's got a great makeup again. If he comes out and they do have a little bit of a cuddle up on the inside, again, he's very, very fair around the 5-1 mark. I had him 9-2, Balnabola Red, but I've got King Memphis evens, and so he's a bet for me at 11-8.
Oh, I'll be on the other side of the market then. I'll be laying him at even money. No question, I'd be laying him at that sort of price. I make him a 7-4, 15-8 chance. I make Swords Rex around a 6-4 chance. I think Swords Rex will be very hard to contain in the early yards. I think we'll see the difference in terms of a really properly sharp greyhound. Compared to King Memphis, who's doing everything right. Don't get me wrong, like 403, 409, but
like opinion there, Jeffrey.
They look faster, but I think Swords Rex will do his 395 and they'll be 2 clear into the back straight and then come and catch me. We'll move on to the last of the 8 heats. We have a difference of opinion. That's one we can hang our hat on next week. Move on to the 8 heats.
That's not your green tinted glasses on now, is it, Ian?
No, it's not. No, it's definitely not. It's definitely not. I just cannot see how King Memphis can lead him. You know, I really can't.
I think he will. Go back and watch. No, because you're going to go. He's rusty. I get that. I was going to go back. I was looking pace for pace, but yeah. So you're having Swords Rex bang and clearing Memphis immediately,
comfortably.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Heat 8 of the final round, and this for me is very much a watching brief. If I was to get involved, I'd probably play something like a Ballymac Slick, but I think I'd want bigger. I think I'd want bigger than the 3. I, I really can't get I really can't get to grips with this contest. Maybe at a huge price, maybe I have a little nibble in Burj Khalifa with a view that they could tighten up on the inside, but it's not a race I can really find a big angle at PL. It's a race where I'll bet prices if I do bet.
No, I could have that, because again, Burj Khalifa was on the Friday night, where I didn't think they were great on the wide, and his run home time wasn't anywhere near as good as his first round. So yeah, and I think Ballymaxlick will kind of, he's another one. He moves off a little bit at the start, but then he'll edge back in. No, I've had a bet here already. I've backed Unreal Bruiser at 9-2. I've got 1 and 2 the early pace here. Well, along with probably 3, but I can't have 3 clearing 1 and 2.
You think the top can contain Coolio Gold into the corner?
He needs to break like he did in the first round, but he just never he fluffed his lines at the start, and I thought he ran really well actually. I think he's strong off the front, so it was just he was overpriced. I make him kind of joint favourite. I make 1 and 2 joint favourites here, and then I'll make 3 and 5 runners, and I made Burj Khalifa shorter than he actually is as well, and Hawkfield Abbey a big price as she is. But so yeah, I've just got the theory here that I need Unreal Bruiser to get the break from the first round. I think if he leads, you'll need a stick of dynamite to get him off the front. And as I say, I'm just betting prices really in, not massive, but enough to have a good party. Yeah.
You've been known to have 1 or 2 of them in the past. PL, a pleasure as always. What are the 2 that stand out, or are there 3 or 4, or whatever you want to point out? Where will your main focus be on?
I liked Superfast Gordon. I think he will win. I think Martha's got a great draw, and I was Crafty Shavu and Gaytime Nemo. I thought that was, and then I mentioned King Memphis. We've got a difference of opinion there. So I'm not as confident, because I know that I've got to see you next week. So I haven't really
can you see it? I'll have it's hidden behind a picture of my kids there, but I'll have it polished up next week for the old trumpet, right? Yeah, I'm gonna nominate a couple of bigger prices and then a couple of shorter prices. I think Bocco's Thunder. I think the 5-1 is more than fair about that.
Great.
I think even the 4 would be fair. He's one I'd have a little nibble on. McNeil, it'll be more playing on the night on the place market than it will be in the win market, but you can be absolutely certain I'll have a little nibble. I think it's potential to get very tight in that contest, and with Groucho Shoe coming back to them, he could represent a bit of value. They'd be my 2 at sort of goodish prices. I think the other Colby will probably win, and sure, we have to say Swords Rex, don't we?
Yeah,
just to back it up for the old trumpet session next week, PL.
That's it. You polish it up, son.
Listen, make sure you keep claiming that climbage or that mileage to Toaster, and we look forward to seeing you on final night, PL. But that's it again. Our thanks to the master, Paul Lawrence. It's a wonderful Star Sports TRC English Greyhound Derby. We're down to 48, and I think it's safe to say, even from our difference of opinion in certain heats there, that it's getting tight. There's no room for error. We'll be down to 24 next week, and I don't see how it can't be a wonderful 24. I think this time next week the Irish will have overtaken the UK in terms of our challengers. That doesn't mean we'll have the favourite, because PL thinks King Memphis is going to fly. Crafty Shavu could fly as well, of course, so they could be the top 2 in the market by then. Who knows? But it's an intriguing derby. We look forward to the remainder of the competition. Don't forget that Matchbook Betting Exchanges offers daily markets on all greyhound racing, and of course you'll be getting great odds about these dogs in the 3rd round of the Derby on Saturday night. Well worth your while checking out the exchanges. The place market is a personal favourite of mine, and of course the anti-post markets are there all the time. But that's it from us on this Wednesday afternoon. Myself and PL wish you the best of luck with punting. We'll see you next week.